I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Laura Di Franco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, to talk about her poem in the July-August issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. And we're also going to talk about poetry, writing, and what inspires Laura. Laura, you may be a new face and voice to some of our viewers, but what do you want them to know about you? First of all, thank you for being here with me. I forgot to say that.
What do I want people to know about me? Oh my gosh, what a question for a Monday morning. Um, well, I think I want my healers to know that my first 30-year career was as a physical therapist, and that foundation, especially my desire to understand holistic healing, is part of everything I do as a publisher today. And I love dark chocolate and puppies, and it's way too hot out here this week in Maryland. I don't know. What else should I talk about?
Well, maybe more things will come up, but you
Oh,
did make that.
yes.
I'm going to ask you a little bit later, I think about a little bit more about that. So, you and I first met through a poem, which I was thinking about that this morning as I was preparing. It's like, wow, I don't think we'd ever met in person, but we met through the internet via a poem. And you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think it brought us to here today, you know?
Yeah, it did. And I'm still so grateful you reached out, and it was a message somewhere, maybe Facebook Messenger. I can't remember
It
how you
was.
reached out,
Yeah.
but can I use your poem for the magazine? And that was a moment for me of just being seen, especially as a poet, which was, I would have called it maybe a kind of a side hobby at the time. And I loved poetry. I've been writing it since I was 15 years old. And to be asked, to have that included in a magazine was a wonderful moment that I am still grateful for today. And got to know you a little bit, got to know the magazines, came to some of the meetings that were in person back then, started to understand what you were up to in terms of bringing women together and connecting and helping each other in those connections. And I just fell in love with your mission, and here we are today.
Here we
Several
are today.
articles and poems in your
Oh, yeah.
magazines, and all the things that we've done together. I
Yeah.
love you, Ginny. I'm so happy that we met that day.
I am too. And when I thought about it this morning, it was like, oh, wow. It's one of those moments. I guess I wanted to bring it up just to relive it for a minute, but also to just remind anyone who's watching this to pay attention. There are people whose path crosses ours. Pay attention. Sometimes I think they're always there for a reason. We don't always know what it is, but they're there for a reason. But if we sometimes just that paying that little bit of attention and then making the action, taking the action and reaching out. That was back when we had a print magazine. And I remember then the first time I met you when you came to a meeting, and it was this, and that's been years. It's been years. And so here we are, a number of collaborations down the road, a number of connections, and just, I'm your biggest fan. I am your biggest fan. Well, people may argue with me for that title. Your mom is probably your biggest fan, but I'm right there in the top 10, I'm sure. And so what do you say about that idea? Because I know you're so big, and this really has nothing to do with our discussion today, but everything to do with it maybe. Because we could talk for days about so many things. But just this idea, I know you're really big on being fully present and just being in the moment and noticing what's around us and all of that. And then, what fits and what doesn't fit. Can you say a little bit about your philosophy around that? And I didn't know I was going to ask you that till just now. So.
Hmm. It's the magic of my life. And that foundation of healing that I was so lucky to have brought me to a place of understanding presence. Just being in the now moment is the big gift that we have in this moment, paying attention to my butt on the chair and what I'm feeling, and what I'm feeling inside of me being interviewed in my body, the thoughts moving through my head. But, with that awareness, with that practice, I get a choice to aim my focus and intention and energy at the good stuff, the joy, the love, the gratitude, the generosity, the courage, all the beautiful things. I love being in a place in my life where I get to discern is this a yes or is this a no? And if I'm in the moment in my body mind, I get to choose. I get to know that feeling is the GPS system. It's very clear when you get to know it and know the language, then this yes no thing is very easy, and I think you get that too because you practice this.
That's why I asked you that. Yeah.
Mm.
It ties into a lot of what we were chatting about before we got on your live today. You know, since that first poem, we've published a lot of your poems, your articles, your stories, your wisdom, and you've left your career, as you said, as a holistic physical therapist and started this publishing empire. Can you share in like a short piece of time, how you got from there to here and maybe why?
I ran the two businesses side by side for about 5 years, telling the world I was going to transition sooner or later, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I was too afraid to let go of the bread and butter and the
Mhm.
identity that was physical therapy for me. COVID came around and did it for me and shut down my physical therapy practice. And I had to panic for about a week before I realized that that was the biggest gift I had ever been given, because I don't know that I ever could have done it on my own. Maybe I could have, but man, after 5 years, I don't know. I went 150% into Brave Healer Productions, an award winning publisher for holistic health and wellness professionals. And it was the best thing I ever did. Have you ever thought about, you might have said, and I would have, I told everyone I loved what I did as a PT. I said that for decades. Along comes something I love more. Is it even possible?
Mhm.
And it wasn't, can you give up something good for something great? Ooh, right. I don't know if I would have given up the good. So, COVID, that was my COVID gift. The universe did it for me, and I haven't looked back.
And what's the current number of published books? Do you actually know that right now? They count.
Tomorrow, as a matter of fact,
Okay.
we will publish High Vibrational Wellness, and we'll be celebrating number 79. Oh my goodness, I had to think about that for a second.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
You'll be hitting 100. Yeah, in next year, right? Probably. Maybe.
Yeah,
Well, maybe not. That's a gap, but wow. I'm so proud of you and so impressed by, you're stepping up and saying yes the way you did. And you're such a model for just doing that and stepping out into the abyss, right? Not knowing. I mean, you took a chance and said, what will happen? I don't know. Let's do this and see. And here we are all these years later. Let's go back to your poem that's in this issue of the magazine called I Believe Her. And you said that your inspiration for this poem is Mary Oliver, who is one of my favorite poets. Tell us more about Mary Oliver and what you love about her work.
I think the biggest thing I love about her poetry is the nature connection because it's been one of my biggest inspirations for my own poetry. Both being in nature, I feel like I'm an instant channel for poetry. When I
Mm.
connect, when I sit out on the patio, when I put my feet in the grass, when I listen to the birds, when I walk in the woods, oh my gosh, I feel like I better have my notebook because it's just moving through. And I've learned to pay attention and not get in the way of it. So the nature connection, I think it's Blue Horses. I think that's one of her poetry books. I have a lot of her poetry books. But I had just purchased a couple new ones recently, and Why I Wake Early was the inspiration for this particular poem because I'm also an early bird, I guess, like her.
Yeah. And you'd mentioned in before we, in the prelude to the poem that you had those books had been sitting there for a bit. And there was a reason you thought they'd been sitting there for a bit. What was that? Do you
I mean,
remember?
I don't know if I remember the why they had been sitting there, but what I do know is that there's just divine timing for everything. And they had sat there, I was just staring at them. I hadn't opened them up. I hadn't opened them up. And then when I finally did, it was like this rush of a message, right? I wrote these for you. Like, what?
Yeah.
And that's, kind of an interesting thing that happens sometimes. And I get a message like that that's so inspirational and from from some magical place in the universe, some connection. Yeah, that'll give me goosebumps, Sarah.
Okay. Well, good. While you still have the goosebumps, would you read your poem for us?
I will. Okay, so this is called I Believe Her. I read Why I Wake Early, just the first two poems, after I stared at the cover beckoning for months. I wrote this for you. I wake early with the dogs, forecast of 95, move out at dawn, hear the morning songs, bask in the just light. Up halfway to the crest, the blazing crimson star shimmers the blue to pink. I think I'm in heaven. Ooh, will you look at that? My smile moved soul deep. I know I'm kept in a pocket, heart close to bliss. All I ever need is to breathe it in. I'll read more of Mary's words, write my own too, because in the middle of the gift ran the message, you were meant for this. I believe her. And
Mm,
that's the poem.
yeah. And
Took me a while
you
to believe her, took
yeah.
me a while to believe in myself.
Mhm. And I think that's why it's such a beautiful message. And, and that's a message I think you carry through your life is helping other women, but start to believe in themselves. And even at the end of the poem, you said, you asked the reader, what is it that you believe in? What is it you believe for yourself? Share that with me. I want to hear it. Let's do it together and that sort of thing. You're such a champion, especially I know that you work with men as well, but you're really a champion for women. I see that all the time, as am I. And so I think it resonates so much with me. And I do want to also say that, I've known you to show up at an in-person meeting and say, I want to share a poem I wrote this morning. That these things just like fall out of you. And then they resonate. I remember a couple of times when you would read a poem in an in-person meeting and there would be complete silence at the end of it. As everybody just kind of sit there and like, and then the applause would start, because whatever you're tapping into is universal and it really speaks to, I think, so many. It speaks to so many people, especially women, I think, on a deep, deep level. So I appreciate so many things about you, but I really appreciate your ability to find those words and share those words for those of us who don't do that. Because I remember thinking, oh, I wish I'd written that. I could have written that. Or, those are so, but I don't do that. That's not mine to do. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Well, so once upon a time, I would have never told you I could do that. I
Mm,
didn't think I was one of those people who could do that, whatever that channeling. I'll use the word channel. I wouldn't have used that word, I don't know, some odd years ago either. I was around a lot of magical people who did use the language, and I was paying attention and curious and asking the universe, what about me, universe? Like, and I did a lot of journaling, and some of it, the spark would move through, but a lot of the times I just didn't think I was the person that had that particular gift until I had it.
mm,
And the poem that I put in On Purpose Woman, the book that we all did together, was the moment that I knew I was channeling from somewhere way bigger than me. And all I had to do was get out of the way, because those messages, while they were through me and for me, were not just for me. And that was like, I knew it immediately. So now I don't even mind sharing an unedited piece, because it's energy moving through, and it definitely isn't just for me. And later sometimes I might go back to the notebook or type it out and spruce it up a little and change a couple of words, but not many usually. So that's pretty fun. And I want to say to anyone wondering, you can totally do this. It's a practice of connection. That's all it is. It's a meditative awareness kind of practice. And there's many, many ways to connect. You can practice that and it can be that good.
okay, we're done. That's all I need to hear.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, first, how can our viewers find out more about you and what you're up to?
Oh, come on over to bravehealer.com. And I would love to chat with anybody who's just ready to share their words with the world in a bigger way and maybe not sure the way to do it, or needs the cheerleader, needs the motivation or inspiration. This this will change people's lives if you are brave enough to share your words.
Mm,
And it is why I was born.
sure is. And Laura mentioned also that we'd done a book together. I was the lead author of a book that came out last August called On Purpose Woman. You have it there handy because
Yeah,
I'll
I'm looking.
pull it out.
There we
On
go.
Purpose Woman, the complete holistic guide for spiritual entrepreneurs. I will put that link into the text of this video. So check that book out. And when you're on Amazon looking at this book, look at Brave Healer Productions and the right now 70
9 tomorrow.
9 tomorrow books that are out there. And I'm sure you'll find at least one, if not many, that speak to you. I also put Laura's website in the chat, and she does so many things that are just out there and free around writing, around community. Just a lot, you're offering a lot of things, Laura. So check her out and see if she might have something that you want to latch on to. You have anything special coming up you want to let us know about? Or just
Well,
anything you want to promote? Yeah.
the launch tomorrow, of course, is going to be an incredible book because they are all incredible. But I think if you're listening to poetry today and you're hearing us talk about poetry, we have my signature collaborative poetry collection project coming up, and I still need a few poets. So if you want to come ask me about that and you want to publish some poetry, let me know. But yeah, we always have something going on, Ginny.
Yes, you do. So the key is connect with Laura, and then you can get on the list and you will know everything that she's offering out there in the world. Well, Laura, as we wrap up, you have a final thought you want to leave with our viewers?
So everything has been written about before, but not by you.
Hmm.
It is your unique voice, and only the way you can share something that's going to change someone's life. So it's time to be brave, you guys. Share your words.
Time to be brave, you guys. Share your words. Yeah. And I love the Anne Lamott quote that you sometimes use.
You're going to test my memory of that one, huh? You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If they wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. Anne Lamott, thank you.
Yeah. So don't wait to put those words out there, at least for yourself. So Laura, gosh, thank you for your commitment to On Purpose Woman magazine and the On Purpose Woman global community, and for sharing your inspiring words and your wisdom with all of us. And I'm just so, so, so grateful that those years ago I happened to see your poem on Facebook.
Me too, Ginny. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you and the amazing community of brilliant women that you've put together that have been my cheerleaders too.
Mm.
Thanks to all of you out there. We've been grabbing hands and it feels so great.
It sure does. Thank you for that. And if you want to check out the On Purpose Woman Global Community, that link, opwgc.com, you can find in the text of this video. And you can also see the magazine on that page. And you can read Laura's poem again because you'll want to read it a few more times to actually go, oh, wow, okay. So thank you for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. For more information on the on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the magazine, please click on the links in this video and be sure to check out Laura's website. And for more interviews with amazing women living their lives on purpose, check out our YouTube channel, which is also in the text of this video. Again, y'all, thanks for watching.